Hey guys, Jessica Coulter here, CEO and founder of Ace Cookie Tutoring, and today I want to talk to you about going back to school in person. So a lot of schools in my area, in Kansas City area, as well as around the United States and around the world, are getting ready to go back to school in person. So if that is you, that's your child, so you're transitioning from full remote to full in person, or maybe hybrid or to in-person, or BAM, whatever you guys are calling it, let me know this message is relevant to you and just tap that like or heart button for me. And I'm curious to know when you guys get to go back to school in person full time. So let me know the date down below. So for us in my local district, it's March 8th. Other districts not too far from me actually went back today. So that's part of the reason we are here talking about this, guys. So I want to let you know that, again, my name's Jessica Coulter, and I own a tutoring business, Ace Cookie Tutoring. So I've got some first-hand knowledge of what's going on in my part of the world. I'm also working as a substitute teacher, so definitely seeing the good, the bad, the ugly, and the, unexpectedly good of being in a school right now in person versus when we were remote. So definitely, guys, if you have a need, no matter if it's something online or in person, if you're in the Gardner area, would love to talk to you. My specialties are ACT prep, middle school math, and essay writing, but definitely can help with more than that. And before we move into the video, guys, I want to encourage you, if you're on Facebook, make sure you become a follower. If you're on YouTube, make sure you become a subscriber so you know the next time I go live. Now let's jump into it. The first thing we're going to talk about, when you're going back to in-person, I want you to realize that the teachers are vaccinated, at least a lot of them are, at least in my part of the world, or they will be very soon by the time going in person happens, but students will not be. So that means that students need to be very careful of their distancing. And that also means that teachers, might feel a little safer, which is awesome. That's part of the reason we're going back in person when we are, as far as I'm concerned. But also know, though, guys, just because we have these new social distancing rules, there's not all of a sudden bigger classrooms. So at the school district I'm subbing at right now, all of the paperwork they've sent out to families and they've sent out to teachers is that we're trying for at least 3 feet of distance. There's no guarantee of the 6 feet. So definitely keep that in mind when your child goes back to school in person, because classrooms are still going to look different. They're going to look even more different than they do now with hybrid learning. And then lunch is going to change as well, because half the amount of students, if you guys are doing hybrid learning, so part of the students some of this day, some of that day, gives a little more spacing, especially when doing the 6 feet. So that is tip number 1, is to be aware of the spacing, that we're keeping the guidelines in place. Teachers are feeling safer because lots are vaccinated, but realize students will not be, and school is still going to look different. It's just going to be yet another change, another new look for the school as we're trying to figure out, depending on your child's school, whether you guys are going to get the 6 feet or the 3 feet, or whatever your guys' area has decided to do. Now, before we move into tip number 2, I want to encourage you to send me an email. The email I need you to send an email to is acecookie@gmail.com, and the reason I want you to send me an email is so I can send you my monthly newsletter. So every month I send out a newsletter full of great tips and tricks for school. Also include my favorite cookie recipe of the month, since we are Ace Cookie Tutoring. My in-person students get fresh baked cookies, and always have a special offer just for my subscribers, people on my email list. So definitely would love to have you join that list so I can get you the inside scoop of all things Ace Cookie Tutoring. Now let's talk about tip number 2. So we know about the spacing. Well, the next thing I want to mention is that a lot of students, again in my area, are used to being remote 2 days of the week, if not 3. Now that means on remote days, they check in at certain times, and then depending on the teacher, depending on the class, they are free to do whatever for the rest of the day. Ideally they do the assignment for that class, and then they move on to something for a previous class or something that's due that day. Now, we all know not all students have been doing that, so I want to let you know that your child might have some adjustment going on with that. Might need a little bit of getting used to, I'm in person, I can't just go take a nap, or I can't just go eat lunch when I want to. I have to do what I'm supposed to when I'm in the class, because now that I'm in this class, this set time, this is that time for that class and no other, at least during the school day. So that is tip number 2 for you, is prepare for the in-person schedule being a full-time schedule and not being able to have the flexibility your child might currently have with his or her remote learning. So, I want to check in. If you guys are liking the video, great. Tap that like or heart button for me. And if you're just now tuning in, I want to encourage you to become a follower on Facebook or a subscriber on YouTube. Now, tip 3 here. So we've talked about distancing, we've talked about scheduling. Well, now let's talk about supplies. So, we're back in person. You're used to having a school supply list. Well, we're not at the beginning of the year, so you might not have all of those supplies you thought you would need, because you're used to being at home, or your child's used to being at home, getting to go to the drawer to grab scissors, getting to go to the cupboard for this particular pen or this pencil. Well, all that stuff now has to come to school because we're still in COVID land. Yes, we're still following cleaning procedures at school. That also means we're not doing a whole lot of sharing. So definitely students need to be prepared to have their own supplies, as well as maybe some of those things that you wouldn't normally think of, such as tape or maybe scissors or a calculator. Stuff like that that's generally a classroom supply is not a classroom supply. So definitely might have some school supply shopping in your future as soon as your child goes back to full in person, or maybe you go back full in person. So guys, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up there. So thanks so much for tuning in. I wish you luck with your transition to in-person, whether that's happening this week or in the very near future. And again, I want to encourage you, send me an email. The email address is acecookietutoring@gmail.com. It's in the description. Send me an email so I can send you my monthly newsletter. Get you all of those tips, tricks, and strategies you need or your child needs to do well in school, and get you the inside scoop on the specials and discounts that are only for my subscribers. Thanks so much, guys. Have a great night. See you in the next video.